Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
So with that, we move on to the next topic, and this topic is called the sex ratio. Now, what is sex ratio? In the earlier topic, we looked at the birth rate, we looked at the death rate, we looked at migration. Now, sex ratio is the number of females per 1,000 males. So, in every 1,000, for every 1,000 males, whether we have 1,000 females or not, that number gives us the sex ratio. Now, when the sex ratio is high or low, that tells us something. That tells us the status of women in our society or in any society. If the sex ratio is low, then that tells us the status of the women in a society of that particular country is not good. And if the sex ratio is high, then that tells us that the status of women in that particular country, in their society, is quite good. Now, if you look at developed countries like United States of America and Japan, there the sex ratio, tells us that for every 1,000 males, there are more than 1,000 females. So this gives us an understanding that the status of the women is quite good in such societies, But India's sex ratio is not as good as that of Japan or USA. For every 1,000 males, the females in India is 943 only. Now in India, Kerala shows the highest sex ratio. For every 1,000 male, it has more than 1,000 females, which is 1,084. This means that the status of women in the Kerala society, in the society of Kerala, is quite high or quite good. In Nagaland, the sex ratio is 931, which means the number of females for 1,000 males is only 931. In Manipur is little higher and it is 987. In Mizoram, it is little lower than Manipur but higher than Nagaland and stands at 975 for 1,000 males. Now, when we talk about sex ratio, and we know that sex ratio gives us an understanding of the status of women in the society of a particular country. Now, when the sex ratio is low or very low, that gives us information that tells us about the discrimination that takes place in that particular society of that particular country against girl child and the women. Both the girl child and the women. So you see, when we try to learn about population of one area, we do census and we get to also understand the number of males and females. That gives us an understanding of the sex ratio, the ratio of females for every 1,000 males. Now that in turn tells us the status of women in the society. If the sex ratio is low, that tells us that in that particular society, women along with the girl child or girl children are discriminated in that particular society, in a particular country. Alright.